Welcome back, my scumbags. Today we are going to be speaking on man versus woman, pretty much. You know what I mean? And an ongoing war that people, war that women wage on themselves, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, this all really started because I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw Little Tay had tweeted that if you're 25 years old and you're working a 9 to 5, you failed in life. You know what I mean? If you're a woman over the age of 25, you should drop a link. Yeah, I mean, to make millions like me, you know? And personally, that didn't necessarily stick very well with me because at the end of the day, I think that's ridiculous. You know, like why are you discouraging women from working a respectable job? And I think that's the problem. That Little Tay comes over here and you know, she just shits on people who have respectable jobs. You know, you're saying if you're working a 9 to 5, that you're a loser and that your life doesn't matter, you know. And I think that adds on to the perpetuation of women who obviously are just finding new ways to call themselves prostitutes. You know, it's like, oh, financial dating is in, and it's like, bro, what? At the end of the day, that's kind of crazy. That's the type of stuff that, you know, these women will do, right? You know, and it's not all women. This isn't like how, you know, these same women who I'm talking about will say, oh, it's all men and men. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, this isn't a man versus woman thing. This is a class versus not having class thing, right? And I understand that, you know, I'm low class scum, but at the same time, you know, when I say low class, I mean low social class. I don't mean like, hey, I have no class. Like, I think that I have more class than somebody who's going around and posting something on the internet that makes no sense. You're posting something on the internet that degrades yourself, and you're putting the thought into someone else's head that, hey, you know what, this is okay. It's okay for you to act this way. It's okay for you to come over here and degrade yourself in this manner, right? You know, post naked pictures of yourself on the internet. I don't understand where we went from people, you know, or really, I guess everybody really, but more women, you know, I guess men and women, right? OnlyFans people. I don't know where we lost that the nervousness of, oh my God, my nudes being leaked, you know. I don't know where we lost that, right? I remember being in school and, you know, having people around me, you know, and me and my peers be nervous, right? You know, even the girls in the school being nervous of being like, hey, being hesitant to go and send a naughty picture because they're afraid that it's going to get leaked, and it's like, oh, it's going to ruin my entire life, which for the most part it really doesn't, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's going to be like, you know, I guess it gets lost into the cloud, you know what I mean? It's like, so what, just another picture, you know, at the end of the day. And I get that it's embarrassing, but again, like, that's how it should be. It should be embarrassing, and really it should be something that's between really two people, right, at most. I mean, or I guess consenting people, you know. It shouldn't be something that should be just open to everyone, you know. And at the end of the day, I think that's the problem, is that a lot of women will sit here, or a lot of people in general, but this is more just about that, but a lot of women nowadays would rather kind of follow Little Tay's example and say, oh, it's okay for me to start an OnlyFans because it's an acceptable career. And really, like I said, as much as I'm going to blame the women, you got to blame the men as well that subscribe to the OnlyFans, because these OnlyFans models have a point when they say that, when they say, hey, you know what, you're getting mad at me for starting an OnlyFans, but you're not mad at the people, you know, mostly the men who are subscribing to the OnlyFans. And that's the problem, is that if you're going to get mad at the OnlyFans women for making an OnlyFans, then you have to get mad at the men who are buying the OnlyFans as well, or buying that stuff, because that's the only reason why they're doing it. They're not doing it, I guess, because they're not doing it because they feel compelled to, or maybe they do, maybe they don't. My point is that they're doing it because they're making money, right? If there wasn't a market for this, then they wouldn't be over here parading themselves on the internet like there's some type of, I guess, prize meat, you know? They wouldn't be doing that, right? For the most part, that's what I can assume, because a lot of these OnlyFans women and OnlyFans models, men or women who may be on the platform, are there because they're making a lot of money. And to them, they're doing something that is, for the most part, pretty pleasurable, right? So there's no real, I guess, downside to it, besides the fact that eventually, right, if you're mostly women, you know, when you're done with that life and you're like, I no longer want to parade myself around like this, then, you know, you lose that value, because a lot of men aren't going to want to be with someone like Bonnie Blue, who slept with over 1,000 men. That's just not something that men find attractive, the same way that I would hope that a woman would have that same, you know, that same quality, and say, I'm not going to sleep with a man who slept with over 1,000 women, because one, it should be for your health safety, for the first fact saying that, hey, I don't know what you have, and I'm not trying to disease myself, right, for the first portion of that. And then the second portion being that, why would you want to be with somebody like that? Like, how could someone be loyal to you if they're sleeping with over 1,000 men? I mean, at that point, you could sit here and say, well, it's strictly business, but it's not strictly business. Because if you're willing to do that, then what's going to stop you from doing it again? You know? Even if you left that life behind you. But personally, I think it's just uncomfortable. It should be uncomfortable for both parties. Really, whether you're a man or you're a woman, if you're in the Bonnie Blue phase, it's over. It's over. You know what I mean? Personally, speaking on behalf of almost all men, I'm going to say that, you know, they're not going to find that attractive. But ultimately, that's the main problem. You know what I mean? I think this whole thing with Little Tay and this whole thing with everyone else, you know, like, too many women are falling victim to the OnlyFans trap. And I think that's the problem. That's ultimately the overall goal of this video, is to just say, you know, whatever happened to women in STEM, you know? You're right. Now instead of having women in STEM, you have women with STEM in them. And that's not good. That's just not good. And that's where I'm going to end this, right? I'm going to end this with that and say, you know what? We need more women in STEM and less women with STEM in them. Like I said, this is Low Class Scum. If you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, share this with your friends who may also be scumbags. I don't know, you know what I mean? But I'll see you guys in the next video.